It's time to take your English to the next level with another English from the news lesson. And so with that being said, I have some breaking news. Well, hello, all of my students. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Jay, and I am so glad that I have the opportunity to help you to improve your English comprehension, vocabulary, and fluency. And if this is your first time on the channel, I accomplished that by reading through a news article at a moderate pace and breaking down some of the key vocabulary words to help transform your English. Well, I hope you're ready for some learning and laughter. Let me formally welcome all of the new subscribers and channel members. Thank you so much for all of your support. I hope you're ready. Let's dive into today's lesson. According to the Associated Press, Russian forces pull back from bases in Northeast Syria. All right, so of course, when we look at one key term here, pull back. All right, pull back means to leave, get out of there. All right, in northeastern Syria, Russian military forces have begun withdrawing. Say that with me, withdrawing their equipment and personnel, according to Associated Press journalists who visited the site. Now, when you begin to withdraw, or someone that is withdrawing, say that with me, withdrawing. It's pulling back forces or equipment. Remember, I said it means simply to get out of there. We began to withdraw from the party when a fight broke out, okay? Withdraw. We go to the bank to deposit money and withdraw, to take out or pull out money, okay? Now, personnel. Personnel has to do with people. So they're taking equipment and personnel or people, okay? We have great personnel at the company. We have great people. Workers. In case we're talking about the military, soldiers, all right, personnel. The airport and nearby facilities had been held by the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. But recent fighting has changed control of the region, okay? Recent control has changed. So things are being transformed, all right? They're going from one leadership to another. At the former base, living quarters were emptied and items left behind were scattered, all right? Showing how rapidly the withdrawal has taken place. Now, when we talk about living quarters, that has to do with where someone resides, where someone is living. An apartment, a bunker, a house, a cabin. These are living quarters, all right? Now, when people are scattered, notice people and things were scattered, left behind, rummaged through, okay? Sometimes when we describe a group of people that disperse, we say everyone scattered. Everyone went their separate ways, okay? So when they got there, notice these living quarters in the picture, they're abandoned. It looks like people have maybe gone through some of the supplies and taken what they considered to be valuable. SDF fighter Ahmed Ali said that Russian troops started pulling out their gear about 5 or 6 days earlier. moving items by cargo aircraft as part of an organized retreat. They still have a presence in here and have been evacuating bit by bit. So when we talk about someone evacuating, moving people or items out for safety. The people in the town evacuated because a tsunami was on the way. The floods were so bad that the families had to evacuate from the premises. All right. Now notice he said people were leaving bit by bit. Okay. Not bite by bite, but bit by bit. Bit by bit is a phrase that we use to describe things happening a little at a time, happening in stages, a progression, not all at once, just bit by bit. She didn't like him at first, but bit by bit, his charm and his fragrance from his cologne changed her attitude about him. Bit by bit, a little bit at a time. The movement of forces marks a shift in the strategic landscape of the long war in Syria, where multiple armed groups and international powers have fought for influence and territory. Okay, notice the movement of forces marks a shift. A shift. When we talk about a shift, a change in position, direction, or focus. Okay? So you might say, look, I want you to shift from being so silly to being a little bit more serious. So a person can not only shift their focus or their position, a car, an automobile, you can shift it into a lower or a higher gear. All right. Now notice what was taking place was a shift in the strategic landscape of the long war in Syria, where multiple armed groups and international powers have fought for influence and territory. Strategic. Say that with me. Strategic. Something that is strategic, it has to do with a strategy. Okay? Important for long-term planning or advancement. All right? You have to be strategic if you're going to win the battle. Strategic. Let's see. The team was very strategic in their defensive plan to win the soccer game. Strategic. All right. Many consider the Russian pullback a sign of broader changes in alliances and control. So basically what they're saying in this sentence is, with these changes taking place now, many of the people feel like there's going to be more changes to come in the future. All right. So when they start seeing the Russian forces pulling back, evacuating, it gives some people hope. And so they think that based upon this move or this shift, that brighter days are ahead. And when we say brighter days, we mean things are going to get better. So you might say, English is tough, but I think I have some brighter days ahead of me. In other words, it's tough right now, but if you keep at it, things will become better. Inside the now deserted base, defensive barriers and workout equipment remained, but soldiers had moved out each of their heavy machinery. Okay? Deserted. When I was a child, I used to mix this word up with desert. One has one S and the other one has two, but they look similar. Deserted, meaning empty. No one there. Everyone has evacuated or left. Deserted, okay? Empty because people have left. Deserted, all right? Now, notice Ali said the cargo plane may have taken equipment back to Russia or to another major base on the country's Mediterranean coast. All right. So when we talk about a cargo plane, an aircraft used to transport goods and equipment. Cargo planes are not like commercial airlines where civilians travel. A cargo plane can be enormous. It has to be able to transport vehicles, large pieces of equipment, weapons. So cargo planes are huge, and it's amazing that they can be so large. One would think, how in the world is this plane able to stay in the air? I tell you, technology is amazing. Notice this picture here of people in the land in that country. That is, wow, look at the buildings destroyed in the background and the children. Oh my goodness. I could imagine that life in an area that may be like a war zone is very, very, very difficult. I have a friend who is in the military actually, and he was stationed in Turkey, I believe 2 years ago, and he told me, very, very difficult while he was there. On the same day, a humanitarian convoy from the United Nations arrived, bringing food, warm clothing, and blankets to civilians affected by the conflict. A convoy. So a convoy is a group of people, whether they be in vehicles or aircrafts or boats, and they're bringing needed or essential supplies for either soldiers or civilians. A convoy. They have care packages, okay? UN spokesman Stephanie, I hope I say this right, Stephanie Dujarric, I hope I'm saying that right. Stephanie Dujarric said more deliveries are expected in the coming days. Dujarric also mentioned that UN teams continue to distribute essential supplies at displacement sites where families forced from their homes try to survive in makeshift conditions. Oh, wow. Okay, notice. Distribute, to hand out, essential, things that are needed or significant or very important. We talked about displacement earlier this week. People that have been forced from their home to another location. Now, notice they described the places that the people were living as makeshift. Makeshift. Okay, something that is in makeshift conditions, it's very, very dire, very minimal, all right? Just enough to have shelter or just enough to get by, okay? Makeshift. These areas often lack stable access to water, food, and shelter. There has been no official statement from Russia regarding the timeline or reasons for the force's departure, leaving analysts to speculate about Moscow's broader military goals. Okay, so an official statement. Say that with me. Official statement. A formal public announcement. All right. So the president made an official statement about Venezuela, you might say. Or you might say, the company manager made an official statement that work would be closed for the next 2 days due to the snowstorm. All right. So an official statement is a formal announcement, something that is usually serious. All right. Let's continue. Departure, to leave. All right. So they don't know about the departure when someone is departing or leaving. Some observers say the move could reflect diplomatic or logistical shifts tied to recent ceasefires and negotiations in the Civil War. Okay, so logistical. Say that with me. Logistical. Related to complex operations. So logistics. How is something going to get from here to there? What it takes to operate something properly. We call that logistics. When I order something from Amazon, they put it in their computer. Then they get the item. Then the item goes in the box with a label. And then they seal the box. And then they put it on a truck. Then someone picks it up. Then someone brings it to me. All of that is considered logistics. Now, when we talk about ceasefires, agreements to temporarily stop fighting, all right? Cease means to stop, to quit, to halt. Ceasefire, stop fighting. Russian troops had been a key part of the military operations in Syria for years, helping the government of President Bashar al-Assad, I hope I said that right, regain territory during earlier phases of the conflict. Despite recent changes, Russia maintains military bases at a few strategic locations elsewhere in the country. Elsewhere, somewhere else, all right? Not here, but somewhere. Elsewhere, somewhere else. The departure of Russian forces follows intense fighting in northeastern Syria and reflects how the war continues to evolve, change, progress. Local fighters and civilians alike are watching closely as relations between armed groups and foreign forces shift in this volatile region. Volatile, having to do with sudden change, letting you know that something is unstable. The stock market is volatile. Her attitude was so volatile. It was always changing suddenly. Volatile. Okay? So, this was a brief article about the Russians leaving northeastern Syria. Let's read through this article at a faster pace without stopping. And again, I apologize if I mispronounce some of the names. Oh my goodness. In northeastern Syria, Russian military forces have begun withdrawing their equipment and personnel, according to Associated Press journalists who visited the site. The airport and nearby facilities had been held by the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, but recent fighting has changed control of the region. At the former base, living quarters were emptied and items left behind were scattered, showing how rapidly the withdrawal has taken place. SDF fighter Ahmed Ali said that Russian troops started pulling out their gear about 5 or 6 days earlier, moving items by cargo aircraft as part of an organized retreat. They still have a presence in here and have been evacuating bit by bit, he said. The movement of forces marks a shift in the strategic landscape of the long war in Syria, where multiple armed groups and international powers have fought for influence and territory. Many consider the Russian pullback a sign of broader changes in alliances and control. Inside the now deserted base, defensive barriers and workout equipment remained, but soldiers had moved out much of their heavy machinery. Ali said that the cargo plane may have taken equipment back to Russia or to another major base on the country's Mediterranean coast. On the same day, a humanitarian convoy from the United States arrived, bringing food, warm clothing, and blankets to civilians affected by the conflict. UN spokesman Stephanie Durjatic said more deliveries are expected in the coming days. Durjatic also mentioned that UN teams continue to distribute essential supplies at displacement sites, where families forced from their homes try to survive in makeshift conditions. These areas often lack stable access to water, food, and shelter. There has been no official statement from Russia regarding the timeline or reason for the forces' departure, leaving analysts to speculate about Moscow's broader military goals. Some observers say the move could reflect diplomatic or logistical shifts tied to recent ceasefires and negotiations in the civil war. Russian troops had been a key part of military operations in Syria for years, helping the government of President Bashar al-Assad regain territory during earlier phases of the conflict. Despite recent changes, Russia maintains military bases at a few strategic locations elsewhere in the country. The departure of Russian forces follows intense fighting in northeastern Syria and reflects how the war continues to evolve. Local fighters and civilians alike are watching closely as relations between armed forces and foreign forces shift in this volatile region. Woo! Someone earlier this week left me a message and said, Jay, please don't wear yourself out. Oh my goodness, my throat has become so dry from reading this past week. I think partly it has to do with the dry weather outside, the change in temperature. It's affecting my voice. But I think I'll be all right. So, as always, some of you have been doing a great job of listing the key vocabulary words in the comments section. I want you to continue to use the comments section to practice your English. If you go through the comments, you'll see that some people actually type out the key vocabulary words, and it can help you when it comes to using at least 2 of them within the next week. I am so encouraged reading your messages about how many of you have improved your vocabulary, and some of you have expressed that your comprehension has improved these last few weeks. So I am so proud of you, and it really, really encourages me to hear how the lessons are helping you. Make sure that you not only use 2 words within the next week from today's lesson, but I also want you to watch the lesson once with the subtitles on and once with the subtitles off. It does not matter if you are a beginner, if you are an intermediate English learner, or advanced. Immersing yourself in English only helps strengthen your English. Okay, so make sure you do these exercises and it will help you. Thank you to all of the new subscribers, all of the new channel members. You guys are really, really an encouragement to me to keep doing what I'm doing. If today's lesson has helped you, all I ask is that you share it with someone. Share the link on WhatsApp, or send it by text or email, or some of you on Facebook, or if you want to write a letter with the link in it, you can do that. But any way you can, sharing it will also help someone else to improve. If you're not a subscriber, I hope you subscribe, and I hope I have earned your like. I don't know anywhere where you're going to get 20 to 30 minutes of English lessons per day for free, and it's not AI. I am coming to you every single day, sharing time with you to help improve your English. And so I hope that the lessons are helping you. With that being said, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope it's filled with prosperity and productivity, and I hope you get some rest also. And if you're in another country where there's a lot of conflict going on, please be safe. And I hope you join me tomorrow, God willing, for my next English lesson. I'll see you then. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.